Greetings, ghouls and goblins. It's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about Survivor Season 47, Episode 7, titled Our Pickle on Blast. Last week on Survivor, the Furge, or Fake Merge, saw Kyle winning individual immunity and the tragic fall of Rome's empire. Before I dive in, this is part of my Halloween spooktacular, which means silly, spooky friends will pop up throughout the video just like this. The first 10 people to comment pointing out 3 of the friends and their disguises will win a sticker from me, which I'll send you in the mail, and I'll shout out all the winners in my next video. As always, if you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. But let's dive into it. The players get back to camp, and their merge tribe they call Becca. Saul apologizes to Andy for throwing a vote at Andy, saying he did it because Saul thought Rome was voting for him, and he throws Sam under the bus to Andy, saying that Sam volunteered Andy as a backup plan during the Furge feast. This seems to work on Andy. It would work on me. And Andy asks Saul for an alliance to get revenge on his ex-gatas. Andy is up all night thinking, running calculations in the sand, and still feels like he needs to turn on Gata. He's approached by Genevieve and expands his reach with her. He sees Genevieve as a potential new #1 ally. Back at camp, the players are bonding about pickleball and are met with a spooky tree mail warning them that they might soon be dead. Rachel feels she has a good bond with the women. They toss around the idea of a girls' alliance. Teeny is down as hell and wants to make it happen with Sierra, Tiana, Teeny, and Rachel. Tiana proposes Gabe as their first target. They head to their immunity challenge, an endurance challenge where they'll be standing on a balance beam, balancing a ball on the end of a pole above their heads. Jeff divides them into 2 groups of 6 to play this challenge. The sole person who wins the challenge saves their whole group. That group will be immune and get a food reward. They'll also go to tribal as viewers, but won't vote. The last player standing on the losing group will win individual immunity, and the losers will vote out a player who won't be on the jury. They draw rocks for teams, with yellow being Genevieve, Sierra, Teeny, Saul, Andy, and Sam, and blue is made up of the 5 ex-Tukus, Caroline, Sue, Tiana, Gabe, and Kyle, and Rachel as the lone gata. They get started with Andy and Rachel quickly dropping out in round 1. In round 2, when they have to move to a harder level on the beam, we lose Sierra, Tiana, and Saul. Round 3 spells the end for Sue, and in the final section, Gabe and Caroline drop. Kyle is the last player standing for blue, but he drops, meaning he has individual immunity alongside Genevieve, Andy, Sam, Sierra, Saul, and Teeny from the yellow team, who will all be immune and get the reward. The challenge winners are treated to beer and plump, juicy ribs to celebrate making it to the jury. They worry about Rachel, and they also worry for themselves with the amount of Tukus in the game. They talk about last week's idol being played, suspecting that there's a new idol in play, as the camera pans to a clue hidden right in front of them that they're too busy stuffing their faces to see. Back at camp, Rachel has work to do. Gabe decides that Rachel is a great target. Gabe tells Kyle that they'll throw all the votes at Rachel, and if she plays her shot in the dark, they'll just revote. Tiana proposes to Kyle that they turn on Gabe, and Tiana approaches Rachel with a plan to all vote together. Going to rocks on this vote isn't really smart, so they need to get a 4th vote, and Tiana wants to try to get Caroline in on the plan. Back at the reward, the players are in a food coma after eating every last morsel of the food. Andy starts picking around like a subway rat, but doesn't find anything and makes himself look sus. Saul finds the hidden clue and sticks it right in his booty. At the loser camp, Tiana approaches Caroline with the Gabe plan, telling Caroline that they'll be a target if they return as 5 Tuku strong. Caroline pushes back on that plan because Rachel is such a threat. Gabe pulls Rachel aside and tells Rachel that their plan is to target Caroline, with the goal of getting Rachel to feel comfortable and not play her shot in the dark. Rachel feels like this is too good to be true, and girl, it is. Back at the winter camp, Saul pretends to go off to poop, but all he pushes out is that clue. His advantage is he can send someone of his choice on the losing tribe. A choice between 2 advantages. The player he picks can either block another player's vote at tribal, or have safety without power, and leave tribal council right before the vote. This advantage instantly makes things interesting, as anyone who got this advantage would have sent it to Rachel. It did come across like the producers throwing Rachel a bone on purpose, which as a viewer, I don't mind or care about. It's not fun to see a player get completely screwed over by a twist. A little help from production, kind of like the bottle twist in Cook Islands. So the losers head to tribal, where the winners get to watch it all play out. At tribal, talk is about the rock draw being against Rachel, and Tuku admit themselves that it will look bad if they all stick together. Jeff brings up that the Tukus could use Rachel to turn on each other.
You really just put our pickle on blast, Jeff.
And oop, Tiana said the thing. Through the conversation, Tiana kind of puts her own pickle on blast, saying she wants to make a big move and that she doesn't want to have regrets. As they get to vote, Rachel interrupts Jeff, telling him that she got the advantage gift and that she chose safety without power. She's bouncing. Even though this advantage was an angel gift from heaven, there was the opportunity for Rachel to make the wrong choice and use the block a vote power, which could have resulted in them blindsiding Gabe, but she can't trust these people and needs to get the heck out of there. Saul is really using his poker face, acting baffled by all of this, and it's no more fun in games for Tuku. They're shook and speechless. Now it's Kyle with immunity and Sue, Caroline, Gabe, and Tiana at risk. The tribal becomes live as they mix up and try to strategize, with Caroline becoming the swing vote between Gabe and Sue, and Kyle and Tiana Tiana. They get to the votes, and there's one vote in that pot for Gabe, and the rest are for Tiana, who is blindsided and devastated, giving Kyle a side eye. They show Tiana crying, walking down the path out of Tribal. Since when do we watch them going wee 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 all the way home? So we say goodbye to Tiana here, who obviously really cared about being there. She started on arguably the strongest tribe, but from the beginning seemed to always get herself into the wrong side of things, starting with being teamed up with TK and getting pressured by Gabe, Sue, and Caroline into flipping her vote at their only tribal council. From then on, she seemed really locked in on Gabe as her target, sharing that openly with the other players at the reward, which made her look sketchy and had Sue licking her lips to target her at the first opportunity. It seemed like she thought she was a really great player despite being on the wrong side of a lot of things. Even in this vote, she was so shocked that Kyle didn't stick his neck out to throw her a vote when it was really not in his best interest to do so, given that they really didn't have the votes to keep her. I don't know how much potential there is for her as a player, as there's a bit of lack of self-awareness, but she seems physical enough, and I wouldn't be surprised to see her on a Challenge USA type show if that ever comes back around. So that's all I have to say about this episode. I hope you enjoyed our spooky visitors along the way. I'm excited to read your comments, see what you thought about the episode, and who I'm giving some prizes to. If you liked the video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next Wednesday with more Survivor. Until then, have a happy, safe Halloween. Goodbye.